If you have ever felt that the stories that you write are not good enough, that the stories are not flowing, that the characters seem trite, that it's just not good enough, it sounds like every other story that you've ever written, I'm going to argue today that it's not a lack of writing skills that you have, but that it's possibly a lack of confidence. Lack of confidence shows up looking like you're not enough. Your story's not enough. Your characters are not intriguing enough, interesting enough. You're simply not enough. You're not a good enough writer. And when you feel that way, it makes it really hard to actually write a good story. So we're going to talk today about why it's important to increase your skills, but also increase your confidence. You have a story to tell, but you don't know where to start. Let me show you how to free your story. I teach you how to write and how to dig deep in your soul to release your story and make a difference in the world. Welcome to the Julia Amante channel. If we're just meeting, I am Julia Amante, and I'm here on Fridays to give you some writing tips. Let's talk about the first reason why we may lack confidence. Okay, so first, trust me that a lot of the issues that you might have that you think are writing issues are really just lack of confidence issues. And the first reason that we may lack confidence is because we tend to judge what we have just written, a rough draft, as if it was a final draft. Okay, every story that you've ever read has been edited multiple times. It has been, it's gone through multiple people probably that have looked at it and offered suggestions and changes. And so we tend to look at our stories that we have just written and say, well, it's not even close to being as good as this other story that I read or this other author. And that's unfair. And we know that it's unfair. We know that, well, of course, this is a published novel, and of course, it's going to be better than my novel at this point. But it still kind of chips away at our confidence level. We're thinking, oh, we're never even going to be able to get it as good as that other story is. We don't have the ability to do that. And again, we're being unfair to ourselves. And so what do you do when you're feeling that way? When you're sitting there and saying, oh, this really is bad, it really stinks, it's just not as good. Just stop yourself and say, go back to your computer, open up a new file, label it rough draft number 2, and start editing that first draft. Okay, I'm assuming that this is a finished draft, right? So you're not going to do this for every scene or every chapter, but once you are finished with your first draft, go back, label it second draft, and start writing. And your second draft will be much better than that first draft. So whatever you're thinking isn't good enough, whatever is going wrong with that first draft, you're going to fix it in that second draft. Okay, so instead of sitting there and telling yourself how terrible you are and that you're never going to be as good as somebody else, make yourself go and rewrite and edit that first draft. The second way that we can kind of identify when it's a lack of confidence rather than a lack of skill is when we start feeling that, maybe we don't even deserve to be writing. We don't deserve to follow this writing dream that we have. Like, who do we really think we are anyways, to spend all this time writing, wasting time when there's laundry to be done and dinner to be made and all these other things that we need to be doing. Are we crazy or something to be spending this time following this crazy dream? And before you know it, right, it can expand. Like, we don't really deserve to write. We don't deserve to be happy. We don't deserve to all this stuff when it can just kind of get out of control. So what you want to do in this case is, obviously, this is a crazy voice. This is a little bit of a voice of fear too, okay? Because we fear writing. But just tell yourself that you don't ever have to publish this book, right? You deserve to write it, whether it ever gets published or not. You deserve to write it just because you enjoy writing. You enjoy the creative aspect of it. You have a book you want to get out of your head and you want to write it. So I think taking some of the pressure off of thinking this has to be good. First of all, it doesn't even have to be good, right? It doesn't have to be like every other book that you've read. It doesn't have to be good. It doesn't have to be published. And you still have the right to do it. You still have, you deserve to find some joy and happiness and create and explore your creativity through writing if this is the vehicle that you choose to use. If you like to paint, then you deserve to spend some time painting, right? We all need some off time from the obligations and challenges of life in order just to kind of withdraw a little bit and work on something that we really love to do. So that's one way just to shut that voice off. It's like, you know what? I do deserve to spend some time writing, and it doesn't have to be good, and it doesn't ever have to be published. I can just do it because I like to do it. Okay, another way that you can know that it's a confidence issue is if you start to feel like, well, this is kind of overwhelming. How am I ever going to get this entire book done? What makes me think that I can write a full book, a whole novel? I don't really have the talent to do that, and I don't have the time to do that. And, who's going to want to read this anyways? But usually it starts to look like, how am I going to finish it? I don't have the talent to finish it. I'm not able to finish it. And what that really is, it's a realistic fear because you've never done this before. So anytime that we're doing something new, it can be a little challenging and scary to think about doing it because we don't know that we can do it, right? So it's a lack of confidence. We have lack of confidence in doing something when we've never done it before. So if you've never written a complete novel, it's a kind of a justified fear and worry. And the lack of confidence is understandable. But how do we get over that? We get over a lack of confidence in doing something by doing it, right? So by doing a little bit every day, by writing a scene, by writing a chapter, by writing a second chapter, and slowly building that that story, that novel, into a complete story, so that you're not overwhelming yourself and saying, I've got to write an entire book. If you look at it as, I'm just slowly building this story and I'm going to see where it goes. I'm going to outline it, and this is sort of the idea that I have of what the story is going to look like. But we'll see, right? We'll see where it goes. I'm just going to write this chapter this week, right? Whatever it is, however you want to do it. But what happens is, as you start to progress, as you start to get to like the middle of the book, it's like, wow, well, now I've written a whole half a book, right? So now you start to actually gain some confidence, like, well, maybe I can finish this. Maybe I can write more, right? So you go on and you write another chapter. Now you're 3/4 of the way. So as you get closer and closer to the end, that lack of confidence tends to go away. So at least the part that's telling you, like, you have never done this before, what makes you think you can write a whole book, you're never going to be able to finish it, it really starts to go away because you're doing it. So a way to build that confidence is to actually start doing something that you think you can't do. And eventually you can actually shut that voice down, right? Because you can say, well, what do you mean I can't do it? I'm actually doing it, right? So you start to feel more confident in that area, that at least you can do it. You found the time, you've managed to get through all these pages, and now you have at the end a complete book. Pausing for a second to let you know about a couple of courses that I've created. If you're a beginning writer and you want some help with your book, I just want to let you know that I do have a basic course on how to write, and I'm going to post it below. And if you're not a beginning writer, but you are more established and you're ready to publish your work, you have your novel written, I also have a publishing course, and I will also post it below, so take a look at it. Maybe there'll be just what you're looking for. All right, let's go back to the video now. So the 3 things that you need to work on to build your confidence is, first of all, don't judge your rough drafts as if they were completed published books. The second thing is to allow yourself to indulge in some inspiring or activities or creativity, which is your story, right? Is writing for you. For I'm talking to writers, so it would be writing. So allow yourself to do that. Tell yourself, of course, you deserve to spend some time being creative and just enjoying doing something that you enjoy doing. And the last thing is that, of course, take little steps and progress a little at a time so that you will start to become more confident in your writing and in your skills and in your ability to actually finish a story. Again, doesn't have to be a great story, just to be able to finish that story. So I'm not obviously an expert on building confidence, but I've been a teacher pretty much all my life. And when I started, I was an elementary school teacher. We used to have like little workshops on how to make students feel, they didn't use confidence as the word, but to make them feel like they can write, right? Like make them feel like writers. So I'm going to talk about 5 things that you can do to build your confidence and then hopefully your writing skills as well. First thing that they would tell us teachers is praise your kids, right? Praise them often. Every time you see that they're doing something, that they wrote a great sentence, that they were very creative in a certain way, then praise them, because the more you tell them that their writing is good, the more that they're going to want to write and the better that they're going to get. So same thing for you, right? Praise yourself more often. If you wrote like a really funny scene, tell yourself, well, that was really good, right? I really did write a funny scene, and it makes me laugh, and hopefully it'll make my reader laugh. Or, it's just a great descriptive. I'm always very weak on description. So anytime that I write something and I think, wow, that was pretty good. I was able to describe that without being boring, and it's visual enough that somebody can see it, and I'm happy with that, right? So tell yourself when you're doing something good, praise yourself. The second thing is to monitor your progress. So when I have my students, I'm always looking to see how they're doing, right? How are they improving? Are they making the same mistakes they always make? So you need to do that for yourself. If you are weak at characterization, or your characters don't feel like they're fleshed out, let's say, real, they don't feel real, then that's one of your problems. Then read books on that, try to improve, see how other writers do it, and then try to do it yourself in your story. And when you see yourself improving, right? So this last story you wrote, or the last novel you wrote, was it that the characters weren't very believable, but in this one, they're doing better. Monitor your progress and see that you're getting better. And if you're not, then make a point of trying to improve that area. So we improve by noticing what we're doing, and then by taking steps to learn how to do things better, and then practicing, right? So we notice, then we learn, right, a little bit more from other people, and then we practice what we learn, and we continue to do those steps. We're going to get better. And so watch that, and again, praise yourself when you're getting better. Okay, the third thing is to meet the goals that you set for yourself. So set goals for yourself. First of all, you're going to finish a chapter by the end of the week. You're going to get a book written by the end of the year, whatever your goal is, right? Then set those, but set logical goals. So don't tell yourself you're going to do something that you absolutely know you can't do, because then you're setting yourself up for failure, right? So tell yourself, okay, this is my goal, and then work toward that goal and meet the goal. If you have to, make your goals not so huge, right? If you know you have a busy schedule, if you know you're not going to be able to write a chapter in a week because there's doctor's appointments and work related things and other stuff that's going to get in the way that week, like really look at that week. Are you really going to be able to finish an entire chapter? Which could be, anywhere between, well, it depends on how long your chapters are. They could be anywhere between, I guess, 3 pages, 2 pages, and 15 pages. So depending on how long your chapters are, what will you be able to do? And then meet that goal. So whatever you have to do, if you say you're going to write a 5-page chapter, then you need to write that 5-page chapter that week, because the more you actually do the things that you say you're going to do, first of all, you're making progress on your story, so that will make you feel good. And then second of all, you'll start to trust yourself more, because you'll know that, when you set a goal, you actually work towards it and you meet it. The fourth thing is that you want to make sure that you are protecting your writing dream. So this is your writing dream. This is your goal. This is what you love to do. So other people may or may not understand that, right? So other people may think like, why is she wasting all her time writing? Why is she spending all this time in her, little corner of her bedroom working on, writing a story that may never get published? So you, though, have to believe that the opposite, right? You have to believe that you are going to write a good story, and it is going to get published if that's your goal. and that you can do it, you can complete it, right? So don't let other people kind of kill your dream. If they don't believe in you, then just, just move on and just don't listen to that. Listen to yourself and listen to your heart. And that way, you're not going to be influenced by those outside things. So protect that writing dream that is yours, and talk to people that actually have the same dream as you. So talk to other writers who understand why you're doing this and why it's really not crazy. Okay, and the second thing is to think about the future. So again, with students, right, we try to get them to think about what's coming next. So even as little kids, right, so you're in first grade, you're going to learn all of this so that you can get into second grade. And then when you're in second grade, right, and so on, you got to learn all this stuff so you can get into high school. And then once you get out of high school, you're going to go to this great college. And when you go to this great college, you're going to become this, right? We're always kind of looking into the future and forward for the kids so that they can, sometimes we stress them out, honestly, but other times it's just to get them excited about what is going to come, and so that they will work towards that. So you need that too. So do you want your book to be published? Do you just want to finish the book and share it with a few people or share it with no one? What is the ultimate goal that you have for yourself? And keep that in mind as you're writing. So again, a lot of times looking into the future and what we really would love to see helps us to get through like those times when we're like not motivated, or when we are lacking some confidence, or when we're a little fearful. It helps us because we think, well, okay, if I can get over this fear, if I can just trust myself, if I can just write this scene, then I'm going to be closer to that dream. I'm going to be able to make this happen. Okay, so look at that future if you have to. And I've talked to people about this before, is creating like, your book cover and having that, posted somewhere on your wall where you can look at it and say, okay, that's what I'm working for. I'm want to finish that book, that cover. So, that helps sometimes. It's just kind of keeping that dream and that goal in mind, so that it's not just this scene that you're writing. It's not just wasting an hour of your life. It's actually working towards something bigger. And I just want to end this by saying that you don't have to know everything. So feel free to ask questions. So, when I first started teaching, I was like this young 22-year-old, and I didn't know everything, obviously, because I just graduated from college and I just started teaching, but I thought I had to know everything. Like I was afraid to admit that I didn't know something, how to create, how to make the students actually listen to me, for example, right? I was afraid to say something because I didn't want anybody to think I was just incompetent. I didn't know what I was doing. But of course, once I got over that and I actually started asking other teachers, they were all very helpful because they knew I didn't know, right? They knew I was a brand new teacher. So they were really helpful, and they really were willing to offer their expertise because they knew a lot. They'd been teaching for many years and they were happy to share. Well, it's the same thing with writing. So you don't have to know everything. You can try writing, and then if you notice you don't know something, you can't do something, then of course you just started writing. So it's time to learn. It's time to read books. It's time to read articles, to watch videos, to contact other writers, to take classes, whatever you feel will help you to improve. So it's okay to write poorly. It's okay not to know everything, and then that's to slowly start building. And then the more you do that, the more time goes by, the more confident you're going to become as a writer. And it's not that you're never going to feel, fearful again, that you're never going to lack confidence again. Of course you will. We all, it doesn't matter how long you've been writing, you always sort of feel sometimes a little insecure about what you're writing, and that's okay. You just have to keep moving forward. So I hope that this has helped. I hope that you work on the confidence if you think that this is something that you should work on, and that you keep writing, because, that's why we're here. We want to keep moving forward, and we want to keep writing. So if you've liked it, please go ahead and like this video and subscribe to the channel. And I hope to see you again next week.